Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by DreckCaterpillar77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Dog by Throwaway 123, posted to r/Legal Advice August 12, 2017. Dog bit home intruder. Intruder's mother is threatening to sue me for medical costs. Throwaway for obvious reasons, but I live in an older home a stone's throw away from frat row in a party school college town. Just over a year ago, a college student drunkenly entered my home via throwing his weight at my 150-year-old wooden door at around 1 a.m. When he entered, he woke us up and startled our large dog, who was most likely sleeping on the floor by the front door. The dog bit him, drew blood, and college student needed stitches. When we heard him entering the home, we called the police, who did a great job of coming quickly. They administered medical care to him, and one set of officers took him to the ER, while another set got a statement from us. We pulled our vaccine records for the dog, gave him the name to the vet, and so on. The next day, they called us to let us know that they had checked with the vet and everything about our dog was shipshape, and the dog was obviously contained appropriately and had no bite record, so they didn't impound him or anything, and chalked it up to doggy justice. They dealt with the student too, and communicated with us throughout the process, and after all the court dates, he received a fine and a misdemeanor. We did not attempt to escalate, as college student was drunk, was stupid, had no prior record, and hopefully learned from the experience, and our dog. Door and frame got replaced and strengthened with another lock. We had no idea how brittle that door was. This week, over a year later, we got a letter from a lawyer representing the student and his mom saying we can settle for the cost of the dog bite expenses, which they did not itemize or send a copy of the bill for or anything, just put the number on a letter. Or they will sue us for the cost plus legal fees. My husband and I can't see how this can possibly hold up in court, considering he was technically breaking and entering and did receive a misdemeanor for that. My question is, do we even need a lawyer for this, or can we just say, see you in court and represent ourselves with a copy of the police report from the break plus enter? We're sort of regretting letting it go so easily now. Ugh. How can he possibly sue us for the cost of the stitches and ER bill when he was criminally trespassing in our house and breaking our door down? It's not like our dog was outside running around unsupervised or even on a leash or something. He's not an aggressive dog at all, and had never before and never since bit anyone. I feel like he and his mom watched one of those ambulance-chasing lawyer commercials and took the bait. Relevant comments. The Pat Man. Oh god. Bit of an infamous user here. They've frustratingly appeared on this channel before. Let's see if they give good advice this time. Quote, or can we just say see you in court and represent ourselves? End quote. Representing yourselves is a bad idea, even in a case that otherwise seems open and shut. In this case, you're not yet being sued, so you don't have to do anything. You should inform your homeowner's insurance of the letter. They will likely handle it from there. Quote, how can he possibly sue us for the cost of the stitches and ER bill when he was criminally trespassing in our house and breaking our door down? End quote. Quote, he was trespassing, end quote, doesn't automatically excuse everything that happened. It's entirely possible for you both to have been wrong, him for breaking and entering, you for having a dangerous dog or something. Your particular situation doesn't seem like that from your retelling, but such things aren't terribly uncommon. Actually, that's not horrible advice from the Pat Man. I guess it's a swing and a miss sometimes. Additionally, by the way, if you ever find yourself asking the question of how can they sue us for X, you can sue anyone for anything. It doesn't matter. The question is whether or not they can win, and the additional question is, are they just trying to drown you in legal fees until you're forced to settle? That's usually what ridiculous lawsuits are aimed at doing, unfortunately. OP responds, okay, sounds good. We will contact a lawyer on Monday. We paid one for advice when the student initially broke in to make sure we had our bases covered and had representation in case we needed to go to court. We did not. Our lawyer went on our behalf with written statements from us. And we'll reach out to him again and then go from there. Top comment, the Shadow Cat. If he got probation, I would send a letter to his probation officer. They tend to frown on criminals trying to shake down their victims. And tell your dog what a good boy he is. User North Shore 21 comments, My guess is the kid lied to his parent about breaking into your home. I would bring a copy of the police report and any backup you have to an attorney to write a response to their attorney. Hark bargling comments. That's where my mind goes. The kid spins his hero's journey about how the vicious, out-of-control dog mutilated him. His mother believes him and wants justice. Edit, I'm hesitant to say where I live because it becomes way too easy to Google if I do. Edit 2. Whoa! There's a lot of responses. Thanks for the advice, everyone. At this point, we've made up our minds to speak to the lawyer we had from the initial case last year. We'll call him on Monday and update after that conversation. Some answers to the questions. We are the homeowners. We paid out of pocket for the replacement door and door frame. And we also replaced our side and rear doors and frames with matching doors when we realized how easy it was to get into our house by forcing the door. This was in the low 5 figures. We took it out of our emergency fund and did not go through homeowners. There was a restitution order, but it was not enough to cover the doors that we wanted, labor, and door frames. We live in a historical home and wanted to keep with the character. We have lived in a historic home for most of our marriage, so we know to keep cash on hand for pipe leaks, furnaces going out, and now, door replacements. We tell our dog he's a good boy every day, don't you worry, he is the goodest boy. Edit 3. I can't figure out how to get those asterisks to look like bullet points. What am I doing wrong? That might be one of the most real edits I've ever seen on a Reddit post before. Relevant comments from when this was cross-posted to Best of legal advice. Ooh, don't mind me if I go and snag a new subreddit for me to cover in the future. Don't mind if I do. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any interest of a Best of episode that's dedicated to legal advice type posts instead. Back to the relevant comments from that Best of post on the legal advice. User, let me fix that for you, yo. Comments, sometimes people cut strangers some slack. Being drunk and stupid is a near universal experience, although the violent breaking and entering is generally not. Still, I can understand feeling like bite plus fine/misdemeanor is enough for some people who wasn't otherwise violent. User 28F27-2FE556A1363CC31 comments, there's being drunk and stupid, and then there is breaking down a stranger's door in the middle of the night. Let me fix that for you, yo. Comments further, sure, at which point his hand was lacerated by a dog bite. He was arrested and was sentenced to both a fine and some kind of restitution. They could have pushed for more, but they said, well, okay, that's probably even for the shock of the event and for the cost of the door. You are free to disagree, but I don't think OP's choice was unreasonable. This time, it just happened to come back to bite them in the ass. OP responds to those comments. It's pretty much this. My husband and I have worked at the university in this college town for a while now. We have seen stupidity, though this is the first time someone has come into our house because of it, for as long as we've lived in that house. We wanted to give the kid the benefit of the doubt, and we wanted to give him a fighting shot at a good adulthood. Criminal records follow people around in serious ways, and we both believe that the punishment fit the incident at the time. We actually had a friend in our peer group when we were in our early 20s and 30s who did something similar when he was in his late teens, wandered in drunk to someone's home. About 20 years ago, and it became a felony. He struggled to find employment for years as a bright, sober, he never drank again after that, young man, and watching him lose out on job after job because he had to say he was a felon for breaking and entering for years after the incident shaped our decision not to push it with this guy. Update, August 16th, 2017, 4 days later. Quick update to this. It was easily handled. We met with our lawyer on Monday and paid him outright to draft a letter and include documentation of fault. Basically, the police report, restitution order, court documents, etc. And also the vet records that include the police check-in and vaccine records for the dog. My vet wrote down when the police called him and why they called him, and my lawyer's secretary grabbed a copy of that for this. Why he is including this, I don't know, but if anyone has any ideas why this would be important, let me know. My guess would be the reason why is because you can never have too much evidence, especially one that shows the intentions of the officers and the vet in regards to the dog bite. He did not want to include the bills and orders for the door at this time, but took a copy just in case we needed to move further. This morning, the student's mom's lawyer who sent the initial letter called our lawyer and said that the family would no longer be pursuing restitution for medical expenses, and that we could expect a letter from him stating that would arrive at both the lawyer's office and our house within the week. Turns out that those of you who guessed the student didn't tell his mom why and how he got bitten by our dog are probably correct. It wasn't explicitly said during the phone call, but my lawyer relayed that he could infer it from the way the conversation with the other lawyer went. This probably made his top 10 stupid cases list. Thanks again for the advice and help. I do commend OP for their approach on how to handle the punishment for the student. I wish the student would have just counted his lucky stars and didn't try pushing this, but if I had to put a tinfoil hat on and guess what happened, I would say he probably came home from uni from the semester, his mom saw that his hand had stitches and scars, asked what happened, and he just tried to play it off as, oh, a dog bit me. So the mom was like, no, 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 no. We're gonna sue them and get those medical expenses paid back. So, the kid, not wanting to admit to what he did, just got tagged along. Mother, being extremely vindictive and wanting justice, ends up pursuing this, not realizing that out of shame, she's only gotten half the story. This would also explain the timeline as to why it took almost a year for there to be any kind of action being taken. If this happened in the first week of the first semester, then there would be 2 semesters of him, mostly staying at school, maybe with the occasional home vacation. Then during summer, his mom finally notices the scars, asks what happened, and learns the story. And then bada bing bada boom, year later we get a lawsuit about it, and the mom thinks she's doing right by her son, when in reality, he hasn't told her the full truth. That's just my theory as to how this went down and what makes the most sense in my head. But overall, just as kind of some general advice to you guys, if you're ever getting a lawyer involved, don't hide anything from them. Be as transparent as possible. Even if something might incriminate you, it's good that they know exactly what they might encounter so they can build a defense for it. It also prevents you from spending more money than you need to on a potential case only for new evidence to come to light and suddenly your case goes from being, potential to, why the fuck did you hire me? I would also assume that the lawyer for the mother and son probably outright told them like, hey, if this is actually what happened here and this is what you got away with, I would just leave it because they could countersue for the damages to their property that you guys might be on the hook for. And that probably made them reevaluate what their plans were. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. Originally posted to r/relationship advice by Zesty Close Frags 479. Posted August 14th, 2025. My boyfriend, male 20, gave me, female 20, an ultimatum over him or my hobbies. I'm a 20 female, and my boyfriend is male 20. Been together for 4 months, and he's been an utter angel to me, except for now. The other night, my boyfriend, Max, and I were watching a movie when we got into a mini makeout session, and while he was in the process of flipping me over, he got hella frustrated. Then, like some Tom and Jerry scene, he dashes to the end of the bed and started cupping his face like the world was crushing in on him. I asked what was wrong, and he told me something along the lines of, this is getting old. At first this hobby was cute, but I can't get it on with an old man watching me. What? I feel awful looking back at it, but I laughed at him because that was so insanely bizarre to me. But he was being dead serious. Before I knew it, he was out of my room and left the apartment. So, what is this old man? It's a Magneto figure. Please don't dog on me for this, but I absolutely adore X-Men, and my room is decked out in it. I have this collection I'm proud of too, and the Magneto one happens to be my favorite. So he sits on my headboard, and he's roughly around 12 inches tall with a comic book accurate appearance. Sick. After that incident, my boyfriend messaged me and told me I needed to reevaluate my hobby if I wanted to continue the relationship. He's even gone on to say I need to grow up and solve this issue like an adult. But I told him I wouldn't, and he's telling me I'm jeopardizing the best relationship I'll ever get. What do I even do in this situation? Edit, people have mentioned the fact that this was posted on a different community. I have posted it on 2 other places just to get advice. So this isn't stolen or a repeat. Same person, just looking for tips on what to do. Relevant comments. Coastal Kid 92. I mean, I personally would find it a bit off-putting and distracting if my partner had a bunch of figurines in their bedroom, let alone one on the headboard. But that being said, issuing an ultimatum like that is a bad start to working through things and generally just isn't a reasonable request. He could have asked if you would consider removing it from your headboard or moving them somewhere out of your room, whether permanently or just when he's over. OP responds, and I fully understand being put off by it. I would have my figures elsewhere other than my room, but I live with 3 other roommates who I share my common areas with. To respect them, I keep my stuff in my room. Also, I do wish he would have just asked me to move it or turn it around. I would have been more willing to. There's no blame in the idea of being uncomfortable by some human-like figure staring at you while you get it on. I have asked him before if he wanted me to move it elsewhere, but every time he shrugged the idea off and just said he didn't give two shits, which is why I'm so baffled by his reaction. Update, August 15th, 2025. Update, 20 female, my boyfriend, 20 male, followed up the ultimatum by absolutely mocking me and my maturity. After the whole incident with my boyfriend storming out of my apartment due to finding my hobby childish, collecting comics, figures, etc., he sent me a message telling me I had to choose between him or my hobby. It's been a few days now, and I have been trying to work things out. We were able to sit down at his place and discuss compromises. Since I live with 3 other roommates, he understands I can't put my figures anywhere else but my room. Thus, I agreed to simply put the Magneto figure in the closet whenever he comes over, along with any other figures that may creep him out. Today, he came over early this morning, and I told him everything was stored away in a shoebox and made a dumb joke along the lines of, hopefully they don't pull a Toy Story. I wanted to ease the tension and just get back to the usual playfulness we had around each other. But he was constantly annoyed with me. Everything I did, I felt like I was under a lens getting judged. We were doing some clay crafts like you see on TikTok, and during one of the prompts, which was a duck, I gave it a Superman cape. Apparently, that was the breaking point because he just laid into me about how childish I was. I felt like I was getting absolutely belittled because he was not only saying stuff about my interest, but even doing like this mocking type baby voice at me. He was poorly impersonating me, all like, ooh, I'm my name. I'm a big collector and I like to act like a little baby. I think childish things are cool. I feel kind of dumb for it, but that did really upset me. It was enough that I wanted to cry because I felt not only humiliated, but severely ashamed because his words were getting to my head. The only reason this even ended was because my roommate overheard him and came into my room, yelling at him and telling him to get out. It was just a mess, a literal ridiculous scene full of 2 of my roommates kicking him out of the apartment and trying to make me feel better. I just got done drafting an entire breakup message with my friend's help, so it's going to be over. I'm not dealing with that jerk again. Before getting to the comments here, I just want to add this every time one of these posts come up. Never date someone who you feel like you have to hide your stuffed animals from. Like, buddy, you got a girl who had personality. Seriously? And you're just gonna throw that away because she doesn't conform to, like, the Instagram standards and decides to just simply enjoy who she is, rather than, box away her feelings? Dude, my guess would be is you're just jealous because your parents wouldn't let you collect Bionicles. Mine didn't either, but I didn't turn out like you, so who fucking knows? But dude's noggin is full of rocks. Anyways, relevant comments. Bob Apathy comments, never allow anyone to belittle you. Respect your worth and don't let him try to make you feel less than. When he tries to get you back, don't let him in your life. You deserve better. OP responds, I will definitely be keeping him at a very far distance. After what he's done, I can't even fathom giving him a second chance. And thank you. I'm going to try and find someone who respects me for me. Specialist ad 5796. Quote, suck it, I'm done, end quote, and block. That's all you gotta do, friendo. Be real petty and break up with him with some sort of quote or reference to the character. I don't think Magneto ever said, suck it, I'm done. I had a dude once that was bothered by my South Park collection. I used a Cartman gift to end it. Whatever, I do what I want. OP responds, I love that you did that. I actually quoted Magneto my breakup text to him. Figured I'd rub a little salt in the wound about what originally brought this all to light. Gordo0620 comments, you have good roommates. OP responds, I do, and I love them so much. The roommate that came in to help me has been my best friend since we were both toddlers. She's always had my back. Crackpot conspiracy theory? The boyfriend plays Marvel Rivals and just went on a comp game losing streak where every time he played support, he got feared magnetoed and just sent to the Shadow Realm. So then after he tries to calm down, goes to his girlfriend's house, and lo and behold, Magneto is there once more looking down on him. Skill issue right there. That's a joke tinfoil hat theory, by the way. In no way do I even imagine that to be accurate. The guy is just way too self-conscious, and my guess would be is he's too insecure about his own relationship and he believes that he needs to have his girlfriend conform to societal standards, and her having a Magneto figurine does not conform to societal standards. So he goes to the approach of trying to be mean to her, to bully her into submitting into what societal standards actually want her to do, which is not to have an X-Men figurine collection, and instead be boring. Again, never date someone who you feel you need to hide your stuffed animals from. Doesn't have to be stuffed animals either. It can be anything. Anything that you're passionate about. If you feel like you can't enjoy that passion around your significant other, then they are not for you. They don't deserve you. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." Originally posted to r/am_I_the_asshole by Sensitive Donut 720. Posted on July 12, 2025. Am I the asshole for blocking my friend of 10 years after she committed a Hippa violation against me? I, 23 female, blocked my longtime friend Alice, 23 female, of 10 years after she used her work computer to look up my health insurance information without my consent. The worst part is, she took a photo of it, sent it through messages which her boyfriend of 1 year has access to. Some context. From my POV, her boyfriend is leeching off of her. She spent thousands of dollars on dates, including a motorcycle that was impounded by police because he didn't bother getting his license or permit. He's used her credit card to buy drugs, has driven her car while intoxicated, and uses everything she owns, including her laptop, that he uses to read all of her private conversations. I fear he is isolating her from everyone around her, and it's working. When I saw the photo, she laughed it off, and I was scared but pissed. I asked her why she would do that, and she said she was just curious. I asked her how stupid she could be not knowing what Hippa was if she works at a doctor's clinic. She never responded and left me on red. I assumed a run to our other friend Bella. No real apology or accountability. After 2 weeks, I blocked her. I confided in Bella and KEYZ about the situation. KEYZ was incredibly understanding, not understanding what possessed Alice to do this. Bella, on the other hand, loves to play devil's advocate and has always had animosity towards me. Bella said that Alice only had good intentions and that she was only being playful and trying to connect with me as a friend. I found bullshit and explained that if Alice wanted to connect with me, she could have been an adult and communicated with me, asking for permission before risking her job, committing a Hippa violation, and possibly leaking my information. I told Bella, what if my social security number was on there? What if Alice's boyfriend saw it as an opportunity to take credit cards out in my name? Days pass, Bella wants to hang out. I agree, but I informed her that I blocked Alice and that we are no longer friends. I told her that she and KEYZ were welcome to stay friends with Alice, but that I want to hang out separately. Bella leaves me on red and doesn't reply for days. When she does, she responds along the lines of, "I'm sorry that I hurt you, but if you didn't want my opinion, you should have said so. And next time, I'll keep it to myself. It's clear we both have very different opinions about things." I don't know. It felt like she was pushing the blame back to me instead of taking accountability. This week, KEYZ and I were supposed to hang out. She flaked the first day, claiming she took an extra shift, but then ghosted me completely the second time. After a few days, she apologized and asked if I'm free this weekend. I said, "Depends. Have you heard from Bella?" She replied, "Yeah, I went out with her yesterday. Why? Did you want to do something with all of us together?" I realized that Bella, who mentioned in her apology that KEYZ mentioned a jewelry stand and that we should all go, had gone with KEYZ to that same stand the day KEYZ and I were supposed to hang out. After Bella dropped KEYZ off, she texted me with the apology message. I've been trying to spend time with both, only to be ghosted and left behind. I feel like they used the opportunity to discuss things behind my back. Now I feel like I'm being iced out. I'm starting to feel like they're planning some intervention/ambush to get me to forgive Alice. The trust is gone, and I feel hurt. I've tried being honest and setting boundaries, but now I'm wondering if I'm being excluded for standing up for myself. Now I'm wondering, am I the asshole for blocking Alice over this? And would I be the asshole if I distanced myself from Bella and KEYZ too? Any thoughts? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. Blocking Alice was completely justified. What she did wasn't just a breach of trust, it was a serious legal violation. And if Bella and KEYZ can't respect your boundaries or see why that's a problem, you'd be right to distance yourself from them too. OP responds, "Thank you for the reply. That's what I've been thinking, but it's hard since we've all been friends for 10 years. It's sad this happens the way it did, and it opened my eyes to the type of friends I had. Commenter 2, not the asshole. Also, report Alice with receipts of the violation to her workplace. Get new friends that don't think breaking privacy laws are fun ways to get to know someone is okay. You're better off without that entire group, but absolutely report Alice because that's an actionable consequence. Doesn't matter if she doesn't learn her lesson from it. What matters is she does it to no one else. OP responds, "Thank you. I already reported the violation to my insurance when calling to flag my account for any fraud alerts. Either the investigation is still ongoing, or she got off with a warning. That, I don't know." Commenter 3, why in the world would she send a screenshot of your medical info to her boyfriend? It was an absolute Hippa violation and she needs to be reported. But it goes even further in that now. Her not-so-trustworthy boyfriend has your info. This is some serious shit, and you should probably report her to the police as well as her employer. OP responds, "She sent it to me, but her boyfriend uses her laptop to read all of her messages, hence he has my information. And yes, it was a Hippa violation, something that I already reported with my insurance. I'm unsure of taking it to the police though." Commenter 4, don't just rely on your insurance, report her to her employer. Commenter 5 responds, "What this commenter said, OP, I don't understand why you only reported this to your insurance, unless your friend works for them. Otherwise, your insurance can't do anything about this because they're not directly involved. You need to actually report this person to the office she works at because this is a serious breach of conduct. You don't fuck with Hippa. You need to speak with the practice manager at the office she works for to report this security breach. Her employer needs to know that your personal health info is floating out there because of their employee." OP responds, "At this time, I thought the insurance would take care of it, but I see now that I should have reported it to her workplace. I will be doing that on Monday and making sure something happens." Update, August 17th, 2025, a bit over 1 month later. Update, am I the asshole for blocking my friend of 10 years after she committed a Hippa violation against me? I apologize for taking so long, but I have an update. Also, sorry in advance for the long post. A quick recap of my original post with some new names. My best friend of 10 years, A is now Alice, used her work computer to look up my health insurance information, took a photo using her phone, and sent me the screenshot through messages. Alice works at a doctor's clinic, and her boyfriend has access to her messages via her laptop that he uses. After no sincere apology and no response from her, I blocked her. After explaining what happened to B is now Bella, who usually plays devil's advocate, dismissed my concerns, claiming Alice was just trying to be playful and was only trying to connect with me. I spoke to C is now KEYZ, who was the only one who saw the absurdity and seriousness of it all. But after KEYZ went out with Bella, on the days we were supposed to hang out, KEYZ ghosted me out of nowhere. I was left feeling iced out, hurt, and confused. There were a lot of questions, so here's some clarification. Update will be down below. Why did she look up my information and take a photo? I have been dealing with health issues that are progressively getting worse, and I have no answers and had no decent doctor. I think she took it upon herself to try and help by looking up my health insurance information. When asked why, she texted she was curious. I know she had good intentions, but I never gave her permission to look up my info or take a photo. If Alice had just asked me, I would have said no, since I didn't want her jeopardizing her job, but also, if she would have only asked me, I would have let her know that I had already found a new doctor. Question, who did she send the photo to? As far as I know, just me, but her boyfriend uses her laptop and basically everything she owns. I believe he's read our conversations, which I had no clue until he brought up my health concerns that I confided in Alice, and has also sent me a few messages not clarifying it was him. So, there was a very real possibility he saw the photo. More info. My social security number was not in the photo. I only said, what if it was? If it was, it would have been more serious. My name, address, birthday, and health insurance information was on there. Now for the update. After posting, I filed an official Hippa complaint through the OCR website after many comments suggested it. I also reflected on this friend group and realized we all had been drifting apart for some time now, even before the incident. Alice and I were growing apart. Bella started showing more signs of animosity and resentment here and there. But KEYZ? We were actually growing closer, so when she started ghosting me, I was left hurt and confused. Later, Bella sent me a text inviting me to a group hangout with some of her friends, including KEYZ, but not Alice. I assume this was an intervention disguised as a hangout to maybe mend things between Alice, but I can't be for certain. I replied that while I appreciate the thought, I was not comfortable hanging out and did not like how some things were handled or said, especially since Bella tried shifting the blame to me when she texted me an apology beforehand. I also said that I needed space to reevaluate some things, but I told her to have fun and to stay safe. She replied, wishing me the best, but if I needed anything, she was going to be waiting for me while respecting my need for space. I haven't reached out since, but I've been thinking about it. Weeks passed, and I was still stuck up on the situation. My sister-in-law got tired and finally asked me why I couldn't let it go. After taking some time to reflect on the reasons and my choices, I put my big girl pants on and made the decision to call. I called, got connected to the manager, and explained what happened. I offered to email the screenshots, and because of the small size of the clinic, they had to create a completely new email so I could send everything. The next day, I received an email explaining that the clinic would be starting their investigation days earlier than they initially said. Days passed, and I received a conclusion email giving me their thanks for having the courage to report, and what they did. They put Alice on leave and reviewed the logs for several days. They brought her in for an HR meeting and decided on training Alice with some HIPAA training and are putting in measures so that this will never happen again. I'm sure this is not the update many expected or hoped for. I did what many recommended, but the decision was ultimately up to the clinic. I hope this was a wake-up call for Alice. I haven't heard anything from Alice, Bella, and KEYZ since. My thoughts are that Alice made a stupid and careless mistake that nearly costed her job and ended our friendship. She's always had the habit of making careless mistakes without thinking or caring about the consequences until they come. As for her boyfriend, I don't know him that well, but I've seen red flags he's presented in person, and from what Alice has told me, for why I didn't tell her, she's the type to not listen/make excuses about her relationship. Besides, I wouldn't be the first friend to drop her because of her behavior once she started dating her boyfriend. I also want to briefly say that when writing my original post, it was 4 a.m., and I was shaking with anxiety at the realization that I just lost my closest friends of a decade. I regret how messy it sounded, with more gossip and ranting than actual facts of what happened, and I apologize for that. I hope that this update shows that I actually took time to process things and approach it with more maturity than my first one. Thank you everyone who responded to my original post with advice, support, and even criticism. I think the blunt comments calling me a doormat were the most helpful in helping me reflect about everything. I know it took me some time, but in the end, I called and got some closure. I think this whole situation pushed me to improve myself for the better, not just as a person, but to be a better friend to the future friends I'll meet. Thanks for reading, and at this moment, it will probably be my only update unless something significant happens. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You did right by reporting the Hippa violation. You were also right in realizing your friends were really no longer real friends anymore. You're at an age where big life changes happen, and old friends often go by the wayside as we come to find others that are more closely aligned with where we see ourselves in the big scheme of things. You'll be fine. Keep the good memories and just let those women go on their ways. OP responds, thank you for this. It was hard since I knew them for so long, but I saw the signs, but didn't want to admit it to myself that we were all growing apart. Commenter 2. If Alice is anyone with a professional license, I would also file a complaint or grievance with her official licensing board. It gives a paper trail and closes the loop. You did the right thing. Looking into someone's file is a major violation. Obi responds, she doesn't have a license of any sorts. She was just a front desk assistant of some sorts. I don't know the official title. Commenter 3. You're still not the asshole. Happy to hear about it gave you a push to reflect on things. Maybe also seek therapy. Not for what people usually think, but for finding the glasses to recognize potential problematic people, and maybe the words to find out about unclear cases. I also had a time of big changes, some doubt. To me, it helped then to take courses for, e.g. new hobbies, further education, doing new to me things, not associated to any of the bad feelings/situations of the past, to repair/learn in a new way. Also for a better life-work balance. Work-related customers and certifications count too, just not too focused. To be for you is equally important, sometimes more important. Such courses can also help to find new people outside of work. OP responds, thank you. I'll definitely be looking for a therapist once I can afford it. I've definitely been stuck in some sort of limbo because of the amount of stress this whole situation caused me. I'm looking to continue my studies once I get better, but I'm going to get back into my hobbies again. General comments on OP switching doctors because of the Hippa violations from Alice. OP responds, I was not a patient of the clinic she works at. Commenter 4. They're not taking your reports seriously. Small clinics or corrupt ones usually protect their employees, not their patients. You definitely need to do more research, get answers, and find ways to protect yourself. Keep everything documented. OP responds, I have emails, voicemails, and screenshots all documented and labeled just in case. Additional information from OP after receiving positive comments. Aw, thank you for this. I didn't include it in the post, but the reason I was so stuck on calling or letting it go was due to a trauma response that I had to deeply reflect on this past month. Back when I was a teen, I had a traumatic event happen, and I had the chance to press charges, but didn't. I spent years regretting it, and here, I had a choice, and I didn't want to repeat my mistakes. I'm glad I was able to stand up for myself. OP did make the correct decisions here, and as it sounds, honestly, the friends that you thought you had are probably better being slowly pruned from your life. Because if they hear the fact that your medical information was just blatantly looked up and shared without any kind of consent, and they can't seem to understand why you would be upset by that, and their response is to get you to forgive Alice rather than Alice to apologize to you, yeah, that's fucked up and that shouldn't be happening. They made the active choice to side with the person who broke the law. That's on them. I can only really wish OP the best of luck when moving forward and not letting this collapse of their friend group get to them. They still have a lot of time to discover themselves, to figure out who they are, and to keep building themselves up. I mean, hell, I've recently, since I was 23, went through a shit ton, and I've been in a position where I've been rebuilding relationships, friendships, getting myself out there, getting new hobbies, doing things for myself that are beyond just work. And it's been worth it. And I think OP is someone who could benefit from that as well. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.